Most people assume living past 80 is a matter of good genes, clean living, and maybe a little luck. But here's the uncomfortable truth. That's not the full picture. You've probably seen it yourself. Someone who was sharp, active, even thriving in their late 70s suddenly begins to fade. Their energy dips, their memory blurs, their spark dims. It happens quietly and faster than anyone expects. So what's really going on? In this video, we're going to talk about 5 unexpected reasons, the kind no one warns you about, that explain why so many older people struggle to stay healthy or alive after 80. These aren't the usual suspects like smoking, diet, or lack of exercise. No, these are deeper, more subtle forces. The ones that slip through the cracks, even when you've done everything right. The good news? Once you see them, you can do something about them. And if you're watching this before you hit that milestone, even better. You've got time to prepare. So whether you're thinking about your own future or worried about someone you love, stay with me until the end. What you'll learn here could change how you age and how long you thrive. And if this kind of honest, no-fluff insight matters to you, hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Reason 1. Loss of microsocial engagement. Imagine 2 men, both 83 years old. On paper, they're the same, similar health histories, backgrounds, and lifestyles. But their daily environments couldn't be more different. One lives in a lively neighborhood just outside Chicago. His mornings start with a walk to the corner coffee shop, where he nods hello to the same barista, chats briefly with the woman walking her dog, and sometimes lingers just long enough to exchange a few words with the guy reading the newspaper by the window. The other man lives alone in a quiet, rural part of the country. His days are silent. Groceries get delivered. Conversations are rare and mostly transactional, when they happen at all. Both men have access to medical care. Both eat reasonably well. But after just a few years, one seems noticeably more alert, more emotionally grounded, more alive. The other is fading, slowly, quietly, and in ways that aren't always obvious at first glance. What's happening here isn't just about loneliness. It's about something far more subtle. The quiet erosion of social micro-moments. Those tiny, almost forgettable exchanges we often take for granted. Smiling at someone in line, saying, "How's it going?" to a neighbor, making eye contact with the mail carrier. These are biologically meaningful. They regulate our nervous system. Every small positive interaction triggers a gentle release of dopamine and oxytocin, chemicals that help stabilize mood and promote a sense of safety. They also help reduce cortisol, the stress hormone that, in chronic doses, accelerates aging and weakens immunity. Over time, these moments act like tuning forks for our emotional balance. They're not just nice to have, they're essential. And yet, most people don't realize how important they are until they're gone. In our later years, it becomes easier to opt out of these moments. Maybe driving becomes a hassle. Or friends have passed, or you just don't feel like making the effort. So you stop going out. You cancel plans. You choose quiet over connection, thinking it's simpler or more comfortable. But here's the catch. The more we retreat, the more our social world shrinks. And when it shrinks too far, something inside us starts to dim. It's not just in our heads. The body responds too. Less stimulation, less emotional regulation, less joy. There's a man in Wisconsin who unknowingly became a local example of the opposite. He's 89 now, still walks with a spring in his step, and swears by his morning ritual. Every day, same time, he stops by the local cafe. He sits by the window, orders a small black coffee, and stays no more than 10 minutes. Sometimes he talks to people. Sometimes he doesn't. But he shows up, rain or shine. That ritual, simple as it is, anchors him. It keeps him tethered to the rhythm of life. The familiar faces, the shared glances, the small talk about the weather, they matter. They keep his mind engaged, his emotions regulated, and his identity intact. This isn't about forcing yourself to be social all the time. It's about recognizing the deep, biological value of even the smallest forms of connection. When you strip life down to just the essentials, food, shelter, sleep, you lose the emotional scaffolding that keeps you feeling human. A quiet life isn't always a peaceful one. Sometimes it's just too quiet. So what can you do, especially if you're already noticing yourself or someone you love slipping into that quiet isolation? Start small. Build what I call a light social schedule. Nothing heavy, nothing forced. Just a few weekly moments where you put yourself in the flow of other people's energy. Go for a walk during a busy hour at the park, even if you don't talk to anyone. Visit the same cafe or diner at least a few times a week. Sit in the library or go browse a local bookstore. Familiar places breed familiar faces. And that familiarity, over time, becomes a kind of soft safety net. These moments don't have to be deep. In fact, their beauty is in their lightness. But they create a rhythm, a kind of heartbeat in your week. They make sure the world doesn't close in too tightly around you. And they keep that little part of you alive that still wants to be seen, heard, and acknowledged. Because in the end, it's not just the big connections that keep us going. It's the little ones. The hello from a stranger. The barista who remembers your order. The old neighbor who waves every morning. Those are the threads that hold us together, long after the calendar tells us we're supposed to start falling apart. And if you're not there yet, if 80 still feels far away, this is your chance. Create those patterns now. Invest in the small moments before you need them, because one day, they might be the very thing that keeps you going. Number 2, overcautious inactivity. Another silent reason. What if the very thing you're doing to protect yourself is slowly taking your independence away? As we age, it's natural to become more cautious. A slip here, a near fall there, and suddenly the fear of getting hurt starts to take over. You stop going out when it rains. You avoid stairs. You skip your morning walk if you're feeling a little stiff. It seems reasonable, even wise. After all, one bad fall can change everything, right? But here's what we don't talk about enough. When caution becomes the default, when you choose stillness over movement again and again, your body starts to weaken faster than you think. Muscle loss and balance issues don't happen all at once. They creep in silently. A few weeks without challenging your body and your legs aren't as steady. A few months and you're out of breath after a short walk. A year and stairs feel impossible. This isn't just aging. This is the cost of playing it safe. And it's steep. I remember hearing about a woman in Arizona, 85 years old, who had stopped using the stairs in her home for almost 2 years. After a minor fall in her backyard, she made a quiet decision. No more risks. She moved everything she needed downstairs and settled into what she believed was a safer, more manageable lifestyle. But it didn't take long before she started feeling stiff all the time. She needed help getting in and out of chairs. Her world felt smaller and smaller. Eventually, with some encouragement, she began working with a trainer who specialized in senior movement. They started slowly, just 10 minutes each morning with the help of a sturdy chair. Then came gentle stair practice, handrails, support, guidance. And one day she went up and down her staircase on her own for the first time in years. She cried. Not from pain, but from a feeling she hadn't had in a long time, freedom. That's what's really at stake here. When we choose excessive caution, we think we're avoiding danger. But what we're actually doing is trading away control. Control over our bodies, our choices, and eventually, our lives. Sitting more doesn't make you safer, it just makes you weaker. The problem isn't movement, it's unprepared movement. The solution isn't to stop trying, it's to adapt how you try. There's a big difference between reckless risk and safe challenge. You don't have to hit the gym or run marathons. It can start with simple things. Sitting and standing from a chair 10 times in the morning, stretching your arms overhead, balancing on one foot for 5 seconds near a countertop, using resistance bands or light weights to keep muscles active, practicing how to fall safely even. The point isn't performance, it's stimulation. It's telling your body, I still need you. There's something deeply psychological about this too. When people stop moving, they don't just lose strength, they lose confidence. That quiet sense of, I can handle things, begins to erode. And the more it fades, the more isolated and dependent they become. That's a heavy emotional toll. It's not just about the body, it's about identity. But the beautiful thing is, it's never too late to shift the mindset. You can move from fear-based avoidance to strength-based adaptation. That transition doesn't happen overnight, but it can start small. One small success, standing a little taller, walking a little farther, reaching a shelf without support, begins to rewire the brain. It rebuilds a sense of trust between you and your body. This is where family and caregivers play a vital role too. Instead of saying, be careful every time someone older stands up or reaches for something, we can start saying, let's find a safe way to try. We can encourage movement, not just protect against it. Support, not shelter. That shift in attitude can mean everything. So if you've been playing it safe, ask yourself, is this making me feel stronger or smaller? Are my days shaped by freedom or by fear? It's not about being careless, it's about staying capable. That capability comes from use, not from rest. Now I want to hear from you. Have you or someone you know ever avoided activity out of fear and later regretted it? Or maybe you found your own way to adapt and keep moving? Share your experience in the comments. Your story might just be the one that helps someone else take their first step forward. Number 3. Disrupted sleep cycles from irregular light exposure. Have you ever wondered why some older adults seem sharper, more emotionally steady, and physically healthier than others, even when their lifestyles look similar on the surface? The answer might be something you rarely think about. Light. Not just the kind of light that helps you see, but the kind your body uses to know when to wake, when to rest, and when to repair. After 80, the systems that help us regulate our internal clocks, our circadian rhythms, become more sensitive. That internal clock, located in the brain's hypothalamus, doesn't just control sleep. It influences memory, mood, immune function, and hormone release. And when that rhythm gets thrown off, when light cues no longer match what your body expects, things can unravel surprisingly fast. There's a growing body of research that proves this. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine found that circadian disruption in older adults is directly linked to increased risk of cognitive decline, depression, and weakened immunity. It's not just about getting to bed on time. It's about light exposure. And when you get it, the body is incredibly responsive to natural signals, and light is the most powerful one. Let me tell you about Mr. Harris, an 86-year-old retired engineer living in Florida. A few years ago, he began to notice changes in his memory. He felt foggy in the mornings, anxious during the day, and wide awake well into the night. He wasn't in physical pain, he ate well, and his blood work was fine. But something was off. His daughter, a nurse, started looking at his routines and noticed a pattern. He spent most of his day indoors with the TV on, curtains drawn, and overhead lights on into the late evening. His days had lost their natural rhythm. Together, they made a small change. Every morning after breakfast, Mr. Harris would sit outside on the porch for 30 minutes, soaking up natural morning sunlight. In the evenings, he turned off all screens by 8 p.m. and switched to soft amber lighting. Within weeks, his sleep improved. He started waking up with more energy, and slowly his memory sharpened. He didn't change his diet, he didn't add medications, he just realigned his body with the natural cycle of light and dark, and it made a world of difference. The truth is, many older adults unknowingly sabotage their own rhythm. They keep the TV or tablet on all day, they avoid going outside, especially in the early hours. They use bright, cool-toned lights deep into the evening, thinking it helps them see better or feel more awake. But what it's really doing is confusing their brain. If your body never sees strong daylight, it doesn't know it's daytime. If your eyes are still flooded with artificial brightness at 9 or 10 p.m., your brain thinks it's noon. The result? Shallow sleep, fragmented rest, low energy, irritability, and even immune suppression. Over time, it can start to look like depression or early dementia. But sometimes, it's just a body and brain completely out of sync with the environment. The fix doesn't have to be complicated. It starts with understanding that your body needs contrast. Bright light in the morning, dim light at night. Let the sun in early. Open the curtains. Step outside, even for 5 or 10 minutes. Let your body know it's time to be awake. In the evening, help it slow down. Use warm lighting, avoid screens, or at least switch them to night mode. That shift, from bright blue-toned light to a softer amber glow, helps the brain release melatonin, the hormone that signals it's time to rest and repair. This natural rhythm, bright light and movement during the day, calm and darkness at night, isn't just a lifestyle suggestion. It's biological wiring. When we follow it, our bodies function better. Our minds stay clearer, our mood evens out. But when we ignore it, even with the best intentions, we start to drift into a kind of chronic confusion. We lose the natural cues that have kept humans regulated for thousands of years. And here's something to really think about. This isn't just about your present. Aligning with natural light cycles can actually protect your future. Better sleep supports memory consolidation. A stable circadian rhythm boosts immune response, lowers inflammation, and reduces fall risk. These are not small things. They are the foundation of staying well, staying independent, and staying yourself. So here's a gentle challenge. Tomorrow morning, step outside, even just for a few minutes. Feel the light on your face. Let it reach your eyes. And tonight, when it's getting late, dim the lights. Shut off the screen a little earlier than usual. Let your body return to its natural rhythm. You may be surprised how quickly it responds. Number 4. Emotional suppression from loss and isolation. Grief doesn't disappear with age. It doesn't become easier just because we've experienced more of it. In fact, the older we get, the more quietly grief tends to live inside us, unspoken, suppressed, and often misunderstood. People often assume that older adults somehow get used to loss. After all, by 80 or 90, you've likely said goodbye to more friends and family than you can count. But here's the truth. The human heart doesn't adapt to grief by growing numb. It adapts by storing it until there's nowhere left to put it. And that weight, the kind you can't see, can wear down both the body and the mind. Suppressed emotions have real physical consequences. It's not just about feeling sad or being lonely. When we bottle up grief, when we push down sorrow or pretend it doesn't hurt, our nervous system reacts. The body stays in a state of low-grade stress. Cortisol, the primary stress hormone, stays elevated. Inflammation rises. The immune system weakens. Over time, this state can lead to sleep problems, heart issues, depression, even cognitive decline. A study published in Psychosomatic Medicine found that adults who struggled to process grief and lacked emotional outlets had significantly higher levels of inflammatory markers, which are linked to everything from cardiovascular disease to Alzheimer's. Emotions don't just disappear when ignored, they redirect themselves inward. Dr. Carla Parasinato, a geriatrician and researcher at the University of California, San Francisco, put it plainly: loneliness and unprocessed emotional pain are as harmful to health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. That's not a metaphor. That's data. And yet, emotional health remains one of the most overlooked parts of aging well. There's something in our culture, especially in older generations, that equates strength with silence. A belief that you're supposed to carry your burdens quietly without complaint, that crying is weakness, that talking about feelings is self-indulgent. Many older adults have lived through wars, depressions, personal tragedies, and have learned, out of necessity, to hold everything in. But just because you can carry pain doesn't mean you should have to. Emotional resilience is not the same as emotional suppression. I once read the story of an 87-year-old veteran named Charles. He had been a quiet man his whole life. Widowed for nearly a decade, he rarely spoke about the war, his wife, or the friends he had lost along the way. He told his family he was fine, but his energy had waned, his appetite shrank, and he began forgetting things he never used to forget. His granddaughter, noticing the change, gently encouraged him to write. Not a formal memoir, not a journal, just letters. Letters to his grandchildren, telling them the stories of his life. Once a week, he would write one. A memory from his childhood. A moment from his time overseas. A love story, a regret, a joke, a hard lesson. And something shifted. His posture improved. His voice had more energy. His doctor noticed better vitals. Charles didn't just start remembering more. He started feeling more alive. That's the power of emotional expression. It doesn't need to be dramatic. It doesn't even need to be shared. But it needs a release. Whether it's talking to a friend, attending a support group, praying, seeing a therapist, or writing letters to someone who will one day read them, the act of expressing what we carry is healing. It signals to the brain and body, you're not alone. You're still human. You still matter. What's dangerous is when we internalize the idea that feeling deep sorrow or loneliness is somehow just part of getting old. That we should expect to be sadder, to lose more people, to withdraw. Yes, loss is inevitable, but being emotionally buried by it isn't. The body doesn't know how to get used to grief. It only knows how to suppress or release it. And when grief is suppressed too long, it creates a kind of emotional pressure that leaks out in other ways. Anxiety, restlessness, irritability, fatigue, and eventually illness. Opening space for emotion isn't weakness, it's maintenance. It's cleansing. It's the same as brushing your teeth or stretching your back. The soul needs clearing too, a place to breathe. And the older we get, the more vital that practice becomes, not less. There's deep wisdom in our elders, but there's also deep pain. Both deserve a voice. And the beauty is, it's never too late. You can start today. Tell a story. Write something down. Light a candle and speak to someone you've lost. Cry if the tears come. Call a friend and tell them what you really feel, not just what you think they want to hear. Every act of expression is a step toward healing, because the weight you can't see, it's real. But so is your ability to let some of it go. If what you just heard resonated with you, give this video a like too, and don't forget to subscribe, because every time I discover a new perspective on life, I want you to be the first to hear it. Number 5. Gradual loss of daily purpose. What makes you want to get out of bed in the morning? It's a question most people don't ask after retirement. In fact, we tend to treat retirement as the finish line, the point when all responsibilities melt away and you finally get to rest. But what we rarely talk about is what happens next. When every day starts to look the same, when there's no job to show up for, no kids to raise, no deadline to chase, the mind and body begin to slow down. Not because of age alone, but because they lose direction. Purpose, it turns out, is not just a nice feeling, it's medicine. Science backs this up in powerful ways. Studies have shown that people with a clear sense of purpose live longer, report better moods, have lower rates of chronic illness, and recover more quickly from stress. Purpose increases dopamine, the brain's motivation chemical. That's not just about happiness. Dopamine supports focus, energy, immune strength, and even heart health. In older adults especially, dopamine levels decline with age, unless something gives the brain a reason to keep producing it. And that reason doesn't have to be grand. Even a small, meaningful goal can act like fuel. Take, for example, the story of Mrs. Thompson, an 84-year-old woman in Ohio who found herself struggling with low energy after her husband passed away. She felt lost in the silence of her house and the long, empty mornings. Then, one morning, she decided to water her plants. That simple act led to a routine. Each morning, she'd check on her garden, then make a cup of tea and sit down to call one of her old friends, not just to chat, but to share a life lesson, a little story, a word of encouragement. It became a ritual, and over time, her friends began to call her the morning light. Her energy returned. She smiled more. Her memory improved. What changed wasn't her age or her diet. It was that she had something to look forward to, something that made her feel needed. That's the power of purpose. When the day has shape, your body responds. Your heart rate finds a steadier rhythm. Your brain wakes up more quickly. You move with more intention. You don't drift, you steer. Compare that to a day with no plan at all, where time blurs and the hours pass without meaning. That kind of day weighs on the spirit. You feel sluggish, disconnected. It becomes easier to stay in bed too long, skip meals, ignore texts. One day melts into the next, and slowly, a fog sets in. Many people fall into this cycle without realizing it, especially after retirement. There's a common assumption that after a life of work and effort, you've earned the right to rest. And that's absolutely true. But rest only feels restorative when it follows effort, when there's something to rest from. Endless rest without purpose begins to feel like emptiness. The mind needs challenge, the body needs rhythm, and the spirit needs meaning. Even Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, wrote in his classic Man's Search for Meaning, "Those who have a why to live can bear with almost any how." He wasn't talking about careers or status. He meant the small reasons, the quiet missions that make us feel alive and connected to something bigger than ourselves. That might be nurturing a garden, calling a friend, writing down your memories for your grandchildren, preparing your favorite meal on Sundays. Following the phases of the moon, these aren't tasks, they're anchors. They give your days direction, your thoughts structure, and your heart a reason to keep opening. The mistake isn't retirement. The mistake is thinking purpose ends when the paycheck stops. It doesn't. If anything, this stage of life offers a powerful opportunity to choose your purpose more freely than ever before. No boss, no deadlines, just what speaks to your spirit. But it has to be intentional. Without a plan, time can become a trap. With even the smallest daily mission, it becomes a gift. The beauty is, your purpose doesn't have to be big to be real. You don't need to volunteer full-time or start a new business. You just need one thing each day that feels meaningful to you. That might mean keeping a journal. It might mean mentoring someone younger. It might mean taking care of a pet, following a prayer schedule, or learning one new thing each week. The point is that it matters to you. That it reminds you, I am still part of something. I still contribute. I still matter. And when others see that spark in you, they feel it too. Purpose is contagious. It ripples out. Just like Mrs. Thompson, who became a lifeline of warmth for her group of friends, your small rituals can have a larger impact than you realize. They connect you to others. They keep your identity alive. They turn ordinary days into meaningful ones. So ask yourself, what's one small thing I can look forward to each day? What's one gentle responsibility I can give myself that brings joy, structure, or connection? And if you don't have the answer yet, that's okay. You can start small. A walk at the same time every morning, a call to an old friend each Thursday, one line written in a notebook before bed. Purpose isn't found all at once. It's built day by day, like a soft thread weaving through your life. And now I'd love to hear from you. Do you have a daily mission? Something that gives your day meaning? Or are you searching for one? Share your thoughts in the comments. You never know, your routine might inspire someone else to find their spark again. As we close this video, I want to leave you with something real, something you can carry with you after the screen goes dark. Most people don't suddenly decline after 80 because of one dramatic event. It's not one diagnosis, one fall, or one birthday that changes everything. What really chips away at us is much quieter: the slow unraveling of daily habits, the loss of small routines, the fading of purpose and connection. These shifts are so subtle, so silent, they often go unnoticed, until one day something inside just feels dimmer. But here's the good news: what fades slowly can also be rebuilt. Slowly. One meaningful habit, one real conversation, one step outside, one moment where you choose connection over comfort, purpose over passivity. That's how it begins, with something small but intentional, and it's never too late to start. So, think back to the 5 unexpected reasons we explored. Which one made you pause? Which one struck a little close to home? Most importantly, which one are you ready to act on, even in the tiniest way? Because you do have power, not to stop aging, but to shape how you age. Fully, awake, on your own terms. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. What insight from today hit home for you? What will you try starting now? Your words matter, to us and to the community here. If this video moved you, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us keep creating content that informs, inspires, and reminds you. Aging is inevitable, but fading is not.